Man, oh, it sure has been a while. It's been 4 years since Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze originally graced Nintendo's disgraced child, the Wii U. And it's been over a year since a younger me wrote one of his first videos, where he set the stage on the environment surrounding this game's reception, heading toward its launch, and its subsequent initial reactions.
You're well known and respected in the gaming industry, but you're also a huge celebrity on the internet with all these memes that have been going around. Have you seen? I'm sure you've seen all the photos that they put online of you, manipulations.
I've seen the memes. I've seen the memes.
I looked at a common complaint of it not feeling as tight as Mario does and dissected that issue. The game was surrounded by negativity and disinterest, leading to its almost utter dismissal back when it came out. Its sales were marginally acceptable by Wii U standards, but nowhere near what its prequel garnered or what its quality actually deserved. I made this video after years of wanting, but never getting, any discussion on the game's brilliance. It sure is funny how that narrative has altered recently. Since then, Mark Brown from Game Maker's Toolkit broke down the game's ambitious level structure, showing how Tropical Freeze creates its challenge by continually adding new ideas that compound on each other by the end of each level. Also, more importantly, how it eclipses even Nintendo's lofty standards, using theming as inspiration, making Mario's level design seem elementary in comparison. Mario has kinda sucked recently in that department. Guys, obviously I've waited this long to make part 2 because I knew, even back then, I was sure of it, that Nintendo would bring the game to a new audience, thus spiking the relevancy of the topic to a whole new slew of viewers. Thank you for coming. With the announcement of the game being ported to Switch at a higher price tag than the original release, Nintendo, you sneaky, cheeky little the astonishingly strong praise the game is receiving is surreal. Like, wow, where were these people? I mean, yeah, the game reviewed well, but the phrases like best game on Wii U or greatest platformer ever made popping up throughout the mainstream gaming community is just weird.
Tropical Freeze is one of the best platformers ever
of
made.
all time.
Yeah,
it's
period.
Top 5, and I think that might be hard to say because there's so many good Mario games, but it's definitely up there.
I mean, when you compare it to at least the most recent 2D Marios, it blows them away. It's not even close.
And it was an amazing game that just didn't reach enough people because it was on the Wii U, and not a lot of people had Wii U. So that's really cool because, as I have said probably multiple times, it is the best 2D platformer I've ever played. Just ever. It's just the most fantastically designed, and it's really, really neat to finally be able to play it on the Switch and just have that many more people trying it out. So that's really exciting.
I love Tropical Freeze because it's so difficult.
Yep.
Like, I love that it's punishing, and I think it's an awesome platformer, and it was sort of overlooked on Wii U.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that they're bringing it to Switch.
I'm so happy that this game is getting the port treatment. I felt like back on the Wii U, this one fell way too under the radar. I think I may have mentioned that I was worried about that in my original review of the game, actually. I would honestly put this at the very top of the heap in terms of game releases on the Wii U. Perhaps even the very top.
Well, I'm taking it back. This is my game. You've all had your fun with it, but enough! All you chucklers making fun of my DK and Wii U back in 2014, you don't get off easy with me. It's all rainbows and sunshine with the Switch, so now you want the game, huh? I hope to God, I just hope and pray every night Retro's next game is another Donkey Kong Country game. I, for one, would be most excited for that announcement, more than any other at a Retro. This is a special game to me. It does so many little things to truly overwhelm the player, instilling a sense of awe during its highest points. I appreciate the acknowledgement of this game's quality, and I'm here to outline exactly what it did to achieve this level of respect you're seeing now. Yes, this series is back. Welcome. The Brilliance of Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, returns with Part 2, Immersive Design. As groundwork for this immersion concept, I think it's important to discuss what exactly I mean when I say it. I declare that Tropical Freeze is both an environmentally and mechanically immersive experience. This buzzword immersion is so subjective that I know it will garner some skepticism from people out there, and using it so definitively about this game may turn some heads. If you play this game and come away with an experience that you enjoyed, but necessarily wouldn't define as immersive, that is valid and admittedly very likely. Immersion is highly context sensitive, and that context in which you play this game can alter the type of fun you're having, or lack thereof. I'm putting this disclaimer here as the points I have to follow detail the ways I believe Tropical Freeze became an immersive experience for me, but they can work as just why this game is so good, and holy hell, that opinion has become so universal all of a sudden, maybe you're curious as to how it excels beyond its competition. Retro Studios commits themselves to diegetic level design. There is an absolute refusal to feel inorganic. At no point do you get a sense that these blocks were dropped on the screen through a way of a level editor. Creating a challenge for the player isn't only a purely mechanical process, but also a narrative one, seamlessly weaving the connective tissue a player needs to buy into the world. I'd like to break down a specific level to highlight what I'm talking about here. Horn Top Hop has been mechanically explored on this site before, but not aesthetically. Mark Brown discussed how impressively interwoven the level mechanics are and how well most of them work together. They succeed at keeping the challenge fresh and interesting while also keeping the player sufficiently informed at a fun pace, and how they often come together to make for a final climax as an exciting push to the end barrel. These falling leaves in Horn Top Hop are a fun idea, a falling platform that integrates into the world design. As an added bonus, it logically mixes with the second level gimmick, these horns blowing air. Leaves would be light enough for a blast of air to keep them afloat. Of course, the cartoonish abstraction of a giant ape being able to perch on top of these leaves is not lost on me, but I quite enjoy that it isn't too realistic. We have these trees. They are orange, signaling it's autumn. This is an accurate environment where leaves would be falling in the first place. But it's not just that. We get to see with our eyes the explanation behind these horns, because in the background, little owl birdies are blowing into them. Let's just take a break here and just appreciate the comedic prowess Retro has put into this level. The juxtaposition between the mechanics of Donkey Kong being able to float on leaves and then these little baby owls being able to blow giant blasts of air into these gigantic horns. It's a subtle, rareware style of comedy that I really appreciate in this game that not a lot of people give them credit for. But again, these birds aren't just on the ground blowing into a horn, no. They are perched atop their intricately constructed tree houses as the forest winds on behind them. Tree houses, might I add, that have the same design features as all the charming little buildings in Autumn Heights. We have a level now that in a vacuum works as a platformer and aesthetically meshes together with that platforming. Now to further enhance this already incredible base, David Wise enters the picture with a spectacular score. Pardon the tangent, but I'm diving right into the music here. This is an elaborately constructed, sensibly nostalgic, intensely groovy, tonally atmospheric, and absolutely massive 4-hour composition. Retro and Wise brought the goods, investing heavily in this aspect of the game, just as Retro did with DKC Returns. What about this score specifically is so good, you say? Adaptive soundtrack. Oh god, yes! Donkey Kong dives into the bubbly goodness and the music submerges with you. The player and the score resurface together and continue their journey in tandem. This idea is something so special and is so unique to only this medium. Video games have a monopoly on this beautiful feature because we get to personally interact with the art, and thus there is an opportunity for the art to react back. So let's go back to the level from before. When Donkey Kong situates himself on top of one of these leaves, the music transitions to a lighter, floatier orchestration of the level theme. It reflects the positioning of the character, which would sensibly better immerse the player. The horns too, they have a kinetic impact, but why not an audio one as well? We have a level element that is now rhythmically blasting a deep resounding note in time with the music. The best Tropical Freeze levels feel like a symphony, all these mechanics interacting and evolve into one encompassing sound that is beautiful to listen to but also atmospherically consistent with the visuals of the current area of the game. Horn Top Hop, I feel, is the perfect microcosm, capturing in a concise way how exactly Retro crafted immersion. Look across the entirety of the game. I can't think of one single platform, obstacle, or set piece left unexplained in how it fits into the world of Donkey Kong Country. You can only get exhilarating climactic challenges that are also believable, like the almost cinematic race atop crumbling platforms in the midst of a tornado on top of a rhino while lightning strikes down from the heavens, if you sufficiently plan it. Your heart is pumping. This set piece not only emulates a sensation of peril and danger, but does so while having interesting and layered challenges that have been built upon from the earlier parts of the level. What a reward for your efforts. Not a million mindless moon memorabilia, but an enjoyable experience. I know I make fun, but even so, if you do consider that an important part of a game, Tropical Freeze has the purely cathartic rewards and collectibles for the most casual player to enjoy. There are secrets galore and a myriad of items to pick up, figures to collect, puzzles to complete, and bonus rooms to find. The end of every boss fight has a button-mashing release of adrenaline where Donkey Kong Jungle beats down his adversary to cap off an intense bout. I could list endless examples of background stories, theme ideas, character animation, set piece direction, or the random random artistic flexing in these silhouette stages to continually effectively proving the point, but at the risk of repeating myself, I might as well move on to yet another incredible aspect that is still yet to be explored: the controls. I've already examined the firm-footedness in the previous part, so I think the best way the excellence of the controls manifest themselves is in the glory of a Tropical Freeze speedrun. Take one glimpse at this glorious stream of movement and inputs and you will see that it creates one of the most entertaining and consistently impressive speedruns on the market. I'm talking about flow, people! This move, the jump out of roll, allows such freedom and speed that once mastered, there is a tangible sense of accomplishment every time you pull off the maneuver. Just look at this beauty. Combine that with Scrooge McDuck over here and we got ourselves an honest-to-God platform game. I know we all had our laugh with Cranky Kong, but this guy is like the greatest new addition to Tropical Freeze. Skill-based, precision timing, momentum compounding, sequence skipping, erection-inducing gameplay that just feels so good. Correctly timing a cranky pogo jump conserves your momentum from the previous jump, and DK can use this technique to move at blistering speeds. And there's the enemy placement, perfectly situated to push the player along. Once you memorize a level for the purposes of swift finishes, you realize how intentional the design is. Upon an atomic dismantling, speedrunners quickly discover how unbreakable Tropical Freeze is. The confidence in their craft being boasted by Retro Studios extends to the blunt purpose of inspiring the most average player of the game to commit to improving and heavily investing in their own skill. At any moment from within the game's menus, every single player has access to witness, study, and learn from world record holding runs of every level. The leaderboards of Tropical Freeze lets anyone rewatch a masterful run without having to go to Twitch or something else equally annoying to navigate. The game is just screaming, "Learn me, I'm worth it." Investment, practice, personal responsibility. All these things and more will be rewarded when laid in front of this magical piece of software. There are flaws, there are worries about difficulty, there is a lack of narrative depth, however utterly charming these apes are to me regardless, and maybe it just wasn't your type of game. That's fine, but if it is at all possible in your budget, your chance to revisit this gem on the Switch is quickly approaching. A genre-defining, immersive experience will be available to more people than ever before. I sure hope you give it a shot, keeping these elements in mind. Discourse on this franchise doesn't seem to be dried up yet, so I too might return to further revisit all those things and more next time in Part 3.